An entitled guest spits on a doorman. Completely unaware he just disrespected the CEO's son. What happens next will leave you speechless. The Grand Bellevue Hotel in the heart of Manhattan was the epitome of luxury. Its chandeliered lobby sparkled with opulence. The polished marble floors, reflecting the glow of 1,000 lights. Guests dressed in designer suits and evening gowns drifted through their laughter and conversations, creating a soft, harmonious murmur among the staff stationed throughout. Kevin stood at the grand entrance, a figure of quiet confidence. Kevin wasn't just any doorman. At 6 feet tall with a commanding presence, he carried himself with an air of calm professionalism that set him apart. Guests often remarked on how effortlessly he managed the flow of arrivals and departures, always greeting everyone with the same warm, respectful smile. Tonight though, something in the air felt different. The evening crowd was larger than usual, and the energy seemed charged. Kevin's eyes scanned the incoming guests, ensuring everyone was taken care of. His sharp attention to detail, a hallmark of his work. As a black man working in a predominantly white, affluent space, Kevin had seen his fair share of microaggressions and entitlement, but his patience, honed over years in hospitality, had always been his strength. For Kevin it wasn't just a job. It was a choice he wanted to understand. Every level of the family business. What no one knew except for a select few was that he was the son of the hotel's CEO. His role as a doorman wasn't a necessity, but a deliberate step toward building a deeper connection with the people the hotel served and employed. Outside the revolving glass doors, a light drizzle had begun, and Kevin stepped forward with an umbrella for a couple arriving in a sleek black town car. "Welcome to the Grand Bellevue," he said with a nod, his baritone voice steady and inviting. The woman smiled as he escorted her under the umbrella to the dry safety of the lobby. It was all in a day's work for Kevin, until the man appeared. But just as Kevin returned to his post, a commotion in the distance caught his attention, hinting that his night was about to take an unexpected turn. The sound of raised voices broke through the usual hum of the evening. Kevin turned his head, just in time to see a man approaching the entrance. He wasn't dressed for the Grand Bellevue, not in the tailored suits or chic evening wear expected of its clientele. His wrinkled button-up shirt and scuffed loafers looked out of place. But it wasn't just his appearance that drew attention. His gait was purposeful, almost aggressive, as if every step toward the hotel was a declaration of defiance. The man was muttering under his breath, his face twisted with irritation. As he reached the grand entrance, he brushed past a family waiting patiently to check in, causing the father to pull his young son protectively closer. Kevin stepped forward, placing himself between the man and the hotel doors. With the same calm authority he used to handle any unruly guest. "Good evening, sir," Kevin began, his voice steady. "I'll be happy to assist you, but we're helping other guests right now. I'll need you to wait for just a moment." The man stopped and stared at Kevin, as if the words were incomprehensible. "Wait," he snapped, his tone dripping with indignation. "Do you even know who I am?" "I don't." "Wait." Kevin didn't flinch. Years of experience had taught him to handle entitled guests with a level head. "I understand, sir. But I'll need to ensure everyone is served in order. If you'd like, I can have someone assist you shortly." The man's face darkened and his voice rose, drawing the attention of other guests. "Listen, I'm not here to be told what to do by you. Do your job and let me in." Kevin kept his composure though. He felt the weight of every pair of eyes now watching the exchange. His professionalism never wavered. "I am doing my job, sir. Please step aside and I'll assist you as soon as I can." But instead of complying, the man took a step closer, his voice growing louder and his temper flaring, as if the very idea of waiting was an affront to his existence. The tension was palpable as the man moved closer, his finger now pointed directly at Kevin's chest. His voice was loud, enough to echo off the high ceilings of the lobby, drawing stares from guests and staff alike. "You think you can tell me what to do? You're just a doorman," the man spat, the last word laced with venom. "I'm paying more for one night here than you'll make in a month." Kevin's jaw tightened slightly, but he refused to let his emotions show. This wasn't the first time he'd faced entitlement like this though. The volume and sheer hostility of the man's behavior were pushing the boundaries of normalcy. Kevin took a step back to maintain a respectful distance, his hands clasped calmly in front of him. "Sir," Kevin said firmly but politely, "I'll need you to lower your voice. We have other guests here, and I'd appreciate your cooperation." The man's face turned red with fury. "Don't tell me what to do," he shouted, his voice almost a roar. He gestured wildly toward the lobby, where a couple of spectators had proactively started recording the scene with their telephones. "This is what's going on with individuals like you. You don't have a clue about your place." Then it occurred abruptly. The man spat at Kevin. The glob of spit landed decisively on his cheek. Furthermore, acts so abominable that the group all in all panted. A lady standing close by shrouded her mouth in shock, while a safety officer close to the front counter started to advance toward the entry. Kevin froze briefly. Not out of dread, however, in estimated limitation. Gradually, intentionally, he went after the handkerchief, tucked flawlessly into his uniform overcoat. Also, cleaned his cheek. His hand shuddered somewhat. However, his voice stayed consistent. "Sir," he said, staring at the man, "that conduct is inadmissible. I must request that you leave." The man giggled sharply, his rebellion unshaken. "You believe you're superior to me? You're nothing, you hear me, nothing." In any case, as the safety officer drew closer, Kevin's unshaken impressive skill remained as a distinct difference to the man's disentangling self-restraint, making way for the occasion. That would make a huge difference. The safety officer, a brawny man named Sam, shone up rapidly and situated himself between Kevin. Furthermore, the maddened visitor. His voice was quiet, however firm, as he tended to the man. "Sir, I must request that you step outside. Your way of behaving is inadmissible. Furthermore, we can't permit you to disturb our different visitors." The man jeered, forgetting about Sam's presence as though it were an irritation. "As opposed to a request, I'm staying put. I have a booking. Also, I'll be accursed if some concierge or lease a cop tells me in any case." Sam's appearance didn't falter. "Sir, in the event that you don't consent, I'll have no real option except to call the specialists." At this point, the entryway had fallen into a practically ghostly quietness. The once clamoring space was currently loaded up with visitors. Stopping, their eyes stuck to the scene unfurling before them. A youthful couple murmured to one another, obviously horrified. A more seasoned man close to the attendant work area shook his head in disdain. Kevin remained established, set up, his face a veil of self-restraint. Inside, his feelings agitated, a blend of outrage, embarrassment, what's more, an unflinching determination not to go as far as the man's level. This was a test, he thought, not simply of his impressive skill, be that as it may, of his personality. Hesitantly the man made a stride back, his boasting wavering, as Sam made a demonstration of going after his radio. "Fine," he spat, his voice trickling with scorn. "I'll leave, however you haven't heard the remainder of me." Sam gestured, keeping his body between the man and Kevin, as he accompanied him out. The programmed entryways shut behind them. What's more, an aggregate breathe out appeared to echo through the anteroom. Kevin fixed his coat, his eyes filtering the group. He didn't need pity or acclaim. He simply needed to continue on. Be that as it may, the second wasn't finished at this point. The quiet in the hall moved, giving approach to mumbles as visitors trade considerations about what they recently saw. Some moved toward Kevin to offer expressions of help. Be that as it may, he waved them off delicately, saying thanks to them, without breaking his indifferent disposition. In any case, similarly as Kevin naturally suspected, the trial had passed. A natural voice called out from across the entryway, flagging that the circumstance was nowhere near settled. "Kevin, everything all right here?" The voice was profound, consistent and instructing. Slicing through the waiting mumbles in the entryway, goes to see a tall man in a custom-made naval force suit, strolling toward the entry. His silver-streaked hair and demeanor of power made him difficult to miss. It was Richard Bennett, the chief of the Great Bellevue Lodging, and, unbeknownst to most, Kevin's dad. Kevin gestured inconspicuously, clearing the last leftovers of spit off of his cheek. "Indeed, sir. All that's taken care of," he said, his voice as quiet as could be expected. "Be that as it may." Richard's puncturing look had previously moved to the man, presently being accompanied toward the rotating entryways. He stepped deliberately across the marble floor, his cleaned shoes clicking with accuracy. The man, detecting the adjustment of energy, faltered similarly as he arrived at the exit, his grandiosity supplanted with vulnerability. "Excuse me," Richard said, his voice estimated yet firm. "Are you the visitor who thought it suitable to spit at one of my representatives?" The man vacillated, looking at Richard and afterward at Kevin, as though attempting to survey what is happening. "I didn't realize he worked here," he stammered, his self-importance currently blended with anxiety. He was being troublesome. Richard's demeanor didn't mellow. "Troublesome," he rehashed, his tone sufficiently sharp to cut through the man's weak reasons. "That troublesome porter is my child. Also, no matter what his job, nobody, visitor, etc., has the option to treat anybody in this inn with such irreverence." The man's face depleted of variety. He opened his mouth to answer. However, no words emerged. The heaviness of his activities hit him like a cargo train. Furthermore, the acknowledgement of who Kevin was caused his prior boasting to appear to be silly. Indeed, even despicable. Richard proceeded with his voice, conveying a peaceful power that hushed the room. "This lodging works on regard and poise. On the off chance that you can't maintain those qualities, you have no spot here." A couple of visitors applauded delicately. Be that as it may, the acclaim immediately blurred into the weighty quietness that followed. The man, completely rebuked, turned and left without another word, vanishing into the stormy night outside. Kevin stopped, his dad's words resounding to him. He hadn't required Richard to mediate. He could deal with himself. Yet, there was something profoundly satisfying about hearing reality spoken out loud, before a crowd of people that had seen everything. Be that as it may, even as the man vanished, Kevin knew the night wasn't just about this one occurrence. It was about the example it abandoned for everybody observing. As the rotating entryways settled once again into the right spot, the anteroom gradually got back to life. Visitors continued their discussions. In any case, the energy in the room had moved. What had quite recently happened was definitely not a conventional quarrel. The fact that carried weight makes it a second passing on everybody with something to consider. One of the spectators, a moderately aged lady in a dark semi-formal dress, moved toward Kevin reluctantly. "I simply needed to say," she started, her voice marginally temperamental, "the manner in which you dealt with that. It was amazing. You showed more beauty than the vast majority at any point could." Kevin offered her a little amiable grin. "Bless your heart," he said. "Just some of the time there's actually no need to focus on responding. It's tied in with setting a model." Across the room a youthful steward, no more established than 20, watched Kevin with deference. He murmured to another staff part, "Man, I truly want to believe that I can deal with myself like that one day." Richard stood close by, his arms crossed as he noticed the repercussions. He wasn't one for stupendous showcases of feeling. In any case, the pride in his eyes was unquestionable. Strolling over to Kevin, he put a hand on his shoulder. "You have great instincts," he said unobtrusively, "not simply this evening, however, consistently." Kevin saw his dad. An interesting snapshot of implicit comprehension passing between them. "Thanks, father." He answered the words, conveying a weight that no one but they could completely get a handle on. The episode hadn't recently uncovered the man's bias. It had likewise filled in as a mirror constraining everybody present to defy their own qualities. Whether it was the visitors who had seen the scene, or on the other hand the staff who worked energetically to keep up with the instanding, the message was clear. Regard was not discretionary and pride was not debatable. Be that as it may, while the anteroom gradually got back to its standard musicality, Kevin couldn't shake the expectation that this second could rouse change. Not simply in the man who'd left. In any case, in each and every individual who had remained to observe. As the night wore on, the entryway recovered its standard tastefulness. Be that as it may, the occurrence waited in the personalities of the people who had seen it. For Kevin it wasn't simply one more showdown. It was an indication of the significance of standing firm. Notwithstanding obliviousness while keeping up with respect. He knew the one who spat on him may very well won't ever change. In any case, that wasn't the point. The manner in which he decided to answer could echo through each and every individual who saw it, sowing a seed of sympathy and self-reflection. Prior to making a beeline for his post, Kevin paused for a minute to relax. A little kid, maybe 10 years of age, approached him pulling at her mom's hand. "You were truly courageous," she said modestly, gazing toward him with wide eyes. Kevin hunched down to meet her look, grinning energetically. "Much thanks to you," he said delicately. "Grit isn't tied in with retaliating. It's tied in with knowing when to remain even-tempered." As the young lady radiated and ran back to her mom, Kevin stood up, changing his overcoat. His dad, presently unobtrusively watching from the corner, provided him with a slight thumbs up. Prior to vanishing into his office, Kevin got back to his post, welcoming the following showing up visitor with a similar comforting grin as usual. The episode blurred into the beat of the inn's activities. In any case, it wasn't neglected. Visitors imparted the story to companions. Furthermore, a few even left notes, lauding Kevin for his amazing skill. For some it wasn't simply an example about bias. It was a demonstration of how strength lies, not in reprisal but rather in effortlessness under tension. So to anybody watching this, recollect how you treat others matters. The jobs individuals play don't characterize their value. Poise, regard and generosity ought to continuously start things out. No special cases. On the off chance that you concur, pause for a minute to share this video. Buy in and let us in on your viewpoints in the remarks. Together we should make regard the standard, not the exemption.